Okay, so no Mercury retrograde video. I'm sorry, you're on your own. It's a Mercury retrograde through Sagittarius. Naked in adventure. If you're having a really bad time, I don't mean to make you feel worse. I apologize for the quality of the audio for a lot of the beginning of this video. It gets better, and Mars is stationing this week. So just remember, especially with planets doing their retrograde transit, there's the plan and then there's what actually happens. On top of all that, Neptune is stationing. So if you want things to be even more vague and if you want even fewer loose ends tied up, you're in luck. I am juggling multiple stagnating action items. All of them should have been done yesterday. Some of them may never get done. I have a small consolation prize for you since there's not a Mercury retrograde video. I've put together a 9-hour compilation of all my tech news segments. If you want a big download of all the tech news from 2024, or if you just want something to leave on in the background, I'll post that in a couple days or soon. I don't even know what day it is or what day I'm going to post this. Tech news is coming back, but in a separate report after I get through a rather intense period of upheaval and transition. In other news, Instagram. I'm trying to figure out what short form video looks like for me, even though I don't agree with it, and you should go outside and stop looking at your phone. If you do want to look at your phone, I want to help you with something. I don't know what. It's very goofy. So if you're on there a lot, you can find me there. It's very experimental at this point. All right, Monday already happened. Tuesday already happened. But let's talk about them anyway. Monday was the moon sextile Uranus. And for the first half of the day, the moon was in Sagittarius with the sun, with Mercury, pinging Mercury's retrograde phase, really activating all that, whilst Venus in Capricorn, trine Uranus in Taurus. So did you do something unexpected? The moon also squared Neptune in the morning. So maybe you slept in and you did something weird. The second part of the day got more serious. Remember back when Venus entered Capricorn? Venus entered Capricorn on the 11th, and November 12th was so much more serious. This is like a mini version of that. Monday was. So there's some context for Monday. Tuesday is like eerily quiet. Or was. It already happened. Was your Tuesday eerily quiet? Did you get things done the first part of the day and then be consumed in maybe like a frantic fever dream of all the things you have to do and how none of it's going to get done? First part of Tuesday is more grounded than the second part of Tuesday. Okay, so just in time for Wednesday. Wednesday, we're carrying that franticness all through Wednesday. So much more happens. But that Mercury-Jupiter opposition, it goes exact early Wednesday morning, depending on where you are, but in North America, it's in either the wee hours or very early Wednesday morning. Think back to November 18th. What was going on November 18th that was like maybe good or inspiring somehow? Now it's being like reworked, like something, it's going to be different than you thought. Mercury will be aspecting, or has already, Jupiter and Saturn 3 times during its retrograde phase. The first one already happened. So I'll just talk about Jupiter. And Jupiter and Saturn are pretty close together right now. So these aspects are happening pretty close together. Mercury's aspect with Saturn and Jupiter. So Wednesday starts off, which is how Tuesday also ends, with the second of 3 Mercury-Jupiter oppositions. The first one happened November 18th. The second one is right now. And the third one will happen on December 26th. And again, this is the magic of thinking big. At least if you're thinking big, if you have crazy unattainable goals, maybe you'll fall short of them, but you're getting somewhere and you're growing and you're making some kind of progress. And it could be progress. It's like aiming high, you hit the target. You have to aim high to hit the target. That's what this story, November 18th, December 4th, December 26th. It's like a story arc about that. There's also something that, and I think Mercury's aspects with Saturn, which are also the second of 3 aspects of Mercury with Saturn, are happening this week. The Mercury opposite Jupiter can also invoke, like, if your to-do list is too big every single day, I don't know anything about that problem, then every single day you fail. So you have no wins. And you really need to win every single day somehow to get the momentum that you want. So keep that in mind with your large thinking, your extra large thinking. The transit really is that, like, all the things meme. Also Wednesday morning, the sun squares Saturn. So Saturn is direct. We have a lot of Saturn this month. We have the Jupiter-Saturn square happening again later this month, which I made a video about that called Managed Wellness. It's about this past summer through next summer and what I think that aspect is going to bring. I planned on doing a part 2 of that into part 3, but I think I'm thinking very big right now with all the stuff going on. So there's like a frantic inspiration and an optimism and a persuasiveness, and at the same time there's a heaviness and it feels burdensome. And those two things are really frustrating, especially with Mars stationing this week. So much is happening this week. Did you notice? Have you noticed yet? Also on Wednesday, Venus sextiles Neptune. This could be nice. This could be maybe like welcome. A welcome, like it takes the edge off just a little bit. So enjoy that. Give yourself a break. Have compassion for others. The moon also conjoins Venus and sextiles Neptune right around that time. So the moon, activator of the zodiac, whatever the moon is doing, that's pointing our attention to the stories that are happening in a more direct way that is close to us. So the moon conjoins Venus in the afternoon/evening around the same time as when the moon sextiles Neptune, because Venus and Neptune are close together. So a lot of the middle of the day is this Venus-Neptune. Hopefully it could be like a less stressful pocket of the day. That's most of the day on Wednesday. And then at night, the moon moves into Aquarius and conjoins Pluto. So that's something different. It's a very different tone. It could be even a little more harsh. Like it's already the moon in Capricorn on Wednesday, but aspecting Venus. The moon by sign is aspecting Jupiter, so it might feel a little more triumphant, uplifting, but there's a sneaky undercurrent. There's a suggestion. Pluto has correlations with trauma, because what trauma is a lot of big changes happening all at once. This is a lot for our bodies to handle. Our bodies and psyches, our spirit, our psyche always wants to find homeostasis. And when there are a lot of big changes at once, that could be very disturbing. And there are a lot of big changes coming in the coming year. Okay, so that was just Wednesday. Oh, and at the end of Wednesday, the moon is also opposing Mars, which is stationing. So there is just it is a grind. And Pluto is a grind. Mars stationing is a grind. Them opposing each other is like in old video games or some kung fu movies where they frame up one person's face and then the other person, it's like a duel or something. It's my microphone backwards this whole time. I'm so sorry. Where they frame each person's face just over and over again to build tension. It's like that. Wednesday night. That's because the moon is opposing Mars early Wednesday morning. Early Thursday morning. What a disaster. This Mercury retrograde. Okay, so Thursday. Clean slate on me explaining the days, not for your week. There's not a clean slate this week. Unless you want to take the spiritual angle of every new day is a clean slate. What a blessing that we go to sleep, we wake up, we get a new day, a clean slate. Again, there's the plan, and then there's what actually happens. Give yourself some grace, especially give others a little bit of wiggle room so that the fire doesn't spread. So Thursday morning, wake up early. You might have a rude awakening anyway. When the moon aspects Mars or Uranus early in the morning, those are good days to get up early if you don't wake up early every single day anyway. What was I doing? Was I talking about Thursday? Praise be, Thursday is the sun's conjunction with Mercury. This marks the middle of the Mercury retrograde. It marks the worst. We've concluded what is potentially the worst of every little failure creates more failures. Hilarity ensues. So if you have planets or points in the middle of Sagittarius, something is maybe revisited. There might be some sort of epiphany or some sort of turning point in a more constructive direction now. And again, the Mercury retrograde is halfway over now. So Mercury stations direct on the 15th. So we can look forward to clean up the mess. Maybe things that just inexplicably weren't working in international shipping epiphany. Maybe those things will start to work. Saying this for myself. And the rest of the day, Thursday, is just the moon applying to Mercury and the sun. So the whole day is about this sun conjunct Mercury in the middle of Sagittarius, the center of Mercury's retrograde. Something within it's internal. Mercury retrograde trades the swiftness for depth. So there's something internal, it's complicated, there's nuance, and there's something in your heart, inside. Eventually it will come into being somehow, but it's not quite as immediate or what you think. Like the things in our subconscious mind, the things in the depths of our imagination, the depths of meditation states, those come into the world in all different types of ways. And it's not at all the same as I've intellectualized something and I'm going to go make it happen. So all day Thursday is about that, except the morning is kind of aggro. And Thursday also has a positive ending, happy ending, because the moon trines Jupiter, which little Jupiter in Gemini, ruled by Mercury retrograde. The moon, our activator, our story activator, pings a big character in this whole frantic, thinking big, too many things going on, too many emails. I don't know how many emails you've unsubscribed to every day already, but you still get too many emails, and all the important emails are not being seen. If you sent me an email, I don't know it yet. So that's Thursday. Optimistic, all about the Mercury retrograde. We can start to maybe clean up the messes. There might be still other glitchy things happening, misunderstandings, but at least like now we can kind of see that like there's a light at the end of the tunnel in regards to all the things that are going wrong are being hung up. But that's not all. It's so much more complicated this week. The things that you think maybe might be able to move forward with Mercury's retrograde now halfway over. We also have Mars stationing retrograde on Friday. Mars will be retrograde until February 23rd. I didn't even make a Mars retrograde video. What are the Leo and Cancer parts of your chart? If you don't know how to read your own chart, I have a free course on how to read your own chart at voyage.earth, which is linked below. And I keep saying I'm going to take that down, but I don't have time. Okay, so Friday is a lot. And the heaviness I talked about earlier in the week really like comes to a head on Friday. We have Mars stationing retrograde. Like whatever, if you need to be prepared for something on Friday, be prepared. there's not going to be really, I'm not seeing much like lenience or like everything works out. Friday looks kind of brutal. That doesn't mean like if there's something you're not looking forward to on Friday, or sometimes we think something is going to be a lot and then it's no big deal. Astrology can sometimes ruin our innocence if we are trying to cultivate optimism and honor the present moment where all the magic is. Astrology kind of ruins that. So I'm ruining it a little bit by telling you that Friday is serious. And if you've done the work, if you've done the preparation, it's going to be fine. There's just things are more on the harsh side on Friday. How can you turn that into something positive? Just be ready to put your nose to the grindstone. Be ready. Friday's not you don't take a personal day, or I mean, if you can, I guess, like if you have the choice to dip out of anything on Friday, and you know that those are things that could be saved for a better day, maybe that's an option. I don't know. I'm not saying Friday's bad. I'm saying it looks more serious. And there's a signature of like having to speak up, having to give a state of the union that like there's not a whole lot of forgiving energy around Mercury retrograde's glitchiness right now. The like frantic, all over the place, optimistic, thinking big glitchiness. It's kind of like it's like the middle of the story of the movie where everything's going wrong and you're losing hope. That's Friday in a blessed way. Saturday, we can enjoy a change in tone a little bit with the moon moving into Pisces. So now the moon's ruled by Jupiter, not Saturn, but the moon is co-present with Saturn. So there's still like heaviness, but it's a little different. It's a little more chill. Oh, I forgot to talk about Venus entering Aquarius. So Venus enters Aquarius on Friday. Venus in Capricorn has like enjoyed the work, enjoyed traditions. Venus in Aquarius is now like feeling very estranged. There's a quote from one of my Yi Jing books. It's the Sam Reifler Yi Jing book. As long as you cling to the outside, you will be outside. Only by going inside toward the center can you be inside? This is very the Leo Aquarius axis. Mars is stationing. The Venus-Mars opposition isn't until next week, but Venus is now technically opposing Mars. And there is like, it's a cold, hard, sweaty, it makes me think of when you're sweating from hypothermia. There's not enough heat, so much that your biology reacts by thinking that you are hot. And it's a sign that things are not going well. Okay, so Saturday, Venus, the moon moves into Pisces, so at least a few things are kind of smoothed over, but maybe a little too smoothed over, which I'll get to. So Venus conjoins Pluto in the morning on Saturday. So Friday night could be kind of gnarly if you're up late Friday night, depending on where you are. And it's a different kind of heaviness with Venus conjoining Pluto. It's undercurrents of power mixed with pleasure. So it's really confusing. And Venus conjoining Pluto could feel psychologically abusive. That's like the strong version of it. The light and playful version of it, the more like Venus end of it, would be something naughty. So it's that spectrum, anything in between Friday night and Saturday morning. Venus will be in Aquarius until January 2nd. So Venus will technically be with Pluto for the next month. So it's that signature is most intense Friday night, Saturday morning, but then it kind of like tapers off for the next few weeks. Saturday, we also have the Sun-Jupiter opposition. So Mercury has been opposing Jupiter a bunch. And now we have the Sun opposing Jupiter. So this is like the middle of an inspiring hero's voyage where like you have to do the work. You got, the king gave you like provisions and an army and cash to go out and do your quest. And now you're like in the middle of the quest and you got to make good on those benefits that you received so that you can get the honors later. So this is the middle of the Jupiter retrograde. We're doing the work and enacting the nobility that others gave us. We've been given the benefit of the doubt of. Does that make sense? Jupiter has to do with nobility. So you could be like seen and respected as nobility or as like someone, it's not the same kind of respect as Saturn, but just like you could be given accolades that perhaps you didn't necessarily earn, but now you have to behave like that person. That's the center of the Jupiter retrograde. And really go ham on that because Jupiter is going to enter the sign of its exaltation next summer. So you want a lot of practice. Being a gentleman, being a lady, creating that feedback loop of like the more you live in a way that attracts what you want, the more of what you want you get, and then the more you're inspired to keep living in the way that attracts what you want, like by being it. This is a time of like you're practicing that. It's not necessarily like everything is awesome all the time, effortlessly. You can have that, but that's just not right now. Jupiter has like an ebb and flow cycle. And Neptune stations direct in Pisces. Hi. This is the second to last time Neptune will station direct in Pisces. Neptune's transit of Pisces began in 2012. Next summer, Neptune will move into Aries, and it will stay there for a few months and then dip back into Pisces for one last round. So whatever the Pisces sector of your life is, that part of your chart, that has gotten real weird over the past 12 years. And direct or retrograde stations of any planet are in intensification. So the weirdness is being turned up, the vagueness is being turned up, the spirituality and compassion is being turned up. It's extremely yin. It's like a circle in the drain, except not exactly, because it's so yin, there's no force. It's just the salt doll. You throw it into the ocean. You ask it to report back. But she has dissolved, and she is the ocean now. If you were thinking there is no logic in this place with this Mercury retrograde, that is cranked up all week long, especially on Saturday. But the influence also has an equally long off-ramp, so into next week. And the moon squares Mercury at night on Saturday. So it's not a day for like doing accurate work, editing math, precise engineering. It's better for storytelling. And Saturday night is complicated because we also have the moon conjoining Saturn and squaring Jupiter, because we have that Jupiter-Saturn square happening at the end of this month. So Saturday night could have that like heaviness, optimism, things are okay, there's a lot of like weight on you, but it's gonna be okay. It's just not really fun right now. And Sunday is fine. There's a little bit of the element of surprise with the moon sextiling Uranus at night, but it's mostly just like the moon, like everything is building. The moon is now in its third quarter. It's like building energy. Sunday's pretty simple, but also could be pretty whack. And all the Neptune, Mercury stuff is helping things be a little unhinged, a little irrational. So pay attention, take care of each other, and remember your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.